Alright, this is a Ryobi P4360 cordless 1+ system pole saw. So this uses the same batteries as a lot of our other 1+ system cordless power tools. It's themed for the lithium-ion battery product line. It comes with a battery and a charger, but it's a smart charger. In theory, you could use this with the NiCad batteries, but I wouldn't recommend it. 18 volt, so we're not talking high power. They've scaled the chain length down to the fact that it's just an 18 volt tool. The other thing is that for pole saws, we're generally wanting to look at shorter blades. We're just trying to reach up into the crappy inner stuff on a tree to get tree branches trimmed out in places we otherwise might not be able to reach. Cool thing about this saw, it doesn't have a mechanical extension for the pole the way you might see with some other saws. What they do is they have fiberglass poles, but there's a center section that you can choose to use or not use. So it is possible to take the handle section, which is roughly 3 feet or a little over 3 feet, and attach it directly to the power head section, which gives us a saw not just for reaching up into trees, but also we can reach down into some underbrush, and we'll be showing that in some videos. Where you just don't want to go in because there's stickers and thorns and stuff like that, and we just want to dislodge it from its root, from its stem, and these little saws are going to be really good for that. Retail Home Depot in the United States, usually under 200 bucks for these things. You're not going to get you're not likely to see these below 100, mainly because they do come with a charger and a lithium-ion battery, and between the two, that's probably a good solid $50 value. The P103 battery is functional with a saw, although for my purposes I'm going to be using the P108 batteries with these things, just because I know that having a more powerful battery means we're going to get a little bit more action out of this. I don't think that's cheating to test, mainly because there's just not very many 18 volt saws on the market for this to compete with. So this isn't going to be a one versus the other product demonstration, but it's going to be used in tandem with some other cordless chainsaws that I have for trimming some trees at the survival retreat. But anybody who has an interest in keeping trees and brush and things pruned is probably going to have an interest in seeing how this saw performs, and we'll do a little bit more of that in the next segment. So here we can see I've been doing a little bit of work with the saw, but I finally got somebody to hold the camera. Some of the useful stuff on this involves this hook. Really good for dragging branches, especially out of those apple trees, because they a lot of tangled in stuff. It's not going to just come down on its own because you cut it. Because we're running a relatively small chain with a full-size motor as far as 18 volt Ryobi stuff goes, we actually got decent cutting power. So even though the handheld saws 4 to 8 inches is about what we're going to cut here, 4 or 5 inch branches, not a problem. Now the other thing we're going to have on a tree like this, it gets even difficult until we've done some trimming to even walk close enough to it to get at this stuff. So the other thing about this saw, it seems a little bit less sensitive to needing to get the motor going full speed before you contact the stuff. So here it's in contact, and I can start it and unsee that branch. So this isn't a power tool with the productivity of a hand tool. It's got decent power to it. And this cutting I'm doing without the attachment, without the length attachment. And the other thing, the reason to use a pole saw instead of, let's say, getting up on a ladder with a sawzall or a small handheld chainsaw, is when these things break loose, you get a little distance to begin with to get back from the falling branch. So with this, we can kind of keep distance from these things and be a little safer. Now, on these higher up branches, I'm going to get the extension, but the other thing I might want to use this saw for, when we've got kind of loose stuff here, if I were trying to saw that by hand, the branch wants to move too much. And yeah, you could use a string lopper, but it's still, you know, the stuff gets tangled in this stuff. With the chainsaw, it makes pretty short work of it. So if we want to clean this up, we'll before we bring it down on top of it, we can. So it's a little bit more predictable in the way it falls to get some limbs off of these branches before we bring the branches down. And this would be whether you're felling a tree or just trimming it, because here, just to fell the tree, you got to get a lot of this junk off to get it out of the way to work. So that's pretty much the way the saw works. I mean, you can see on this pine, it cuts it pretty aggressively. It's actually not as sensitive to needing to get going before you're in contact with the wood, and yeah, it really cleans the branches off, and it's pretty miserly with the battery. What I have here is an old overgrown apple tree. It went a long time without pruning. Not the best time of year because it's starting to put out fruit, and it's the time you normally don't want to trim a tree. Okay, I got it some of these thicker things with the Oregon saw over there, and of course I'm doing a comparison with the Greenworks saw. I will say this, because this has an 8-inch blade, you know, compared to the regular Ryobi 18-volt chainsaw, which is just a joke, this thing's really good. It's proven really eagerly chewing some pretty big branches, because it's concentrating what little horsepower it has on a fairly small blade. It really grabs and cuts branches pretty well. But what I really don't feel safe doing with a short handle chainsaw, getting into this where there's prickly, sticky stuff it can grab and move, it's not very high up. In fact, I don't even have the extender pull on this. I just have the blade unit hooked up to the handle unit. And but what I got to do is I got to get up into this to untangle this mess, and I'm really just going for the dead branches and the high danger branches. I don't want to kill this tree by killing a bunch of living branches while it's putting out fruit, because that's kind of the vulnerable time of year for it. But we're going to work on this for a little bit, and after doing the other trees, I'm not even halfway through the P108 battery, so we'll keep going here. Okay, a little bit of a delay. We just skipped the chain a little bit. Using the tool to make the adjustment, you loosen it here, put the chain back on, and then there's that Allen wrench on either side. And fortunately with this long one, you can reach all the way into it. And that's part of what, you know, you just got to deal with when the chainsaw is brand new. The chain's going to do its initial stretching and be making a few adjustments. Then it pretty well stays adjusted for a while. Alright, I don't have somebody to hold the camera for me, so you're going to see snippets of before and after on the work. But this is the tree trimming saw with the extension pole installed in the middle. Now, everything I can tell about these things is that if you have more than one of these, you can kind of like scavenge the extension pole out of the other kit and put it on there and then have this thing get super tall. But what I notice is a lot more fatigue when it's on the end of the pole because of the balance and the weight difference. I'm getting a lot more arm fatigue using this thing. On the other hand, when I look at productivity versus the hand saw, it's absolutely amazing. I've been working this little wooded area a little bit. A couple months ago, I was out here with a sawzall just doing the ground level stuff, about as far as I could reach with a sawzall, you know, like up to about 7 foot high or so. Just to get this where I could walk through here, because this wasn't even good for foot traffic. You couldn't walk through here. And I then worked on it with a little hand pole pruner, but that you know, that's a little fatiguing, and I'm a big guy. I mean, I can work. And so I came back with this thing with the extension. I started working more trees. Like this is a big healthy pine tree. I had not touched this before, and in less than one P105 battery, I did that whole tree and the one next to it, and started the next tree. And I've been working on a couple other trees over here, and then the battery finally went. But it's amazing to be able to work out here with that much reach. I'd like to get another 7 or 8 feet up on that tree. I'm going to bring a ladder out and probably do that. But I'm not making any noise. I mean, the birds are chirping, the eagles are cawing, the wind is blowing in the trees. It really makes chainsaw work pleasant. I gotta say, using these electric saws, I've been using some other electric saws and evaluations this weekend, and it's really easy to deal with all of this stuff when it's electric. I don't have the smell, I don't have the splatter, I don't smell like fuel, my ears aren't ringing from this shit or all sweaty and screwed up from wearing hearing protection. You don't need hearing protection with these things at all. You know, if you're in anything that's kind of remotely a security conscious situation, you get to hear everything around you when you're using electric saws. Not a problem at all. I've got really good reach. I'm saving so much money on not having to hire a climber or go get climbing equipment and get up in these trees myself. I'm saving so much money that if this saw were to burn up tomorrow, it was worth 150 bucks. There's a no-lose situation with this thing. I'm glad I bought it. I'll give honest reviews on a lot of Ryobi stuff, and I'll tell you right now, their gas-powered chainsaws are garbage. Absolute garbage. Wouldn't own one. This little electric tree pull saw, absolutely amazing. Got the 8-inch bar. I can set it on 8-inch round pieces of these pine trees, and it just goes right through them. I mean, I don't even have to get it going right ahead of time. I just set it on that branch, pull the trigger. Sometimes I'm holding my arm at full extension to be able to get at some of these, and I just kind of pull it toward it and lean it toward it. So I'm literally cutting one-handed because I'm reaching as far as I can with the one arm. And then of course, because of the cantilever balance situation, with the handle at one end and a chain at the other, it's a little heavy when the branch gives way, and it's fallen down with the branch a couple of times. You just kind of pull it clear, let it go. It's not hurt, not bad. Really good to go. Trying to salvage some apple trees with it, and on the apple trees, because of the size of the trees and everything, I don't use it with the extension. It's a little bit too ungainly with that situation. But with these pine trees, like this one, I'm going to get a ladder. You know, see how we got these dead branches. It's fire hazard stuff. We're going to get that out of here. That lower stuff. But normally it would be a major production to get a climber up there. It's a safety hazard. He's got spikes that he's climbing in trees with. They can damage a tree. Right now we're just getting good clean cuts on everything. I'm getting a lot of this dead stuff out here. Again, this hasn't been touched for decades. And for a forestry management tool, especially in a park-like setting or a nice neighborhood where you don't want to make noise, you don't want to degrade other people's quality of living with a bunch of machine noise, absolutely highly recommend this thing. And so that's going to end the evaluation here. I know it's been a long series of videos. They're chopped together. Hopefully they make sense. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments section. No, I do not work for Ryobi. I just buy their tools at Home Depot. I do evaluations on them, and every once in a while somebody loans me a tool and says, yeah, go ahead, make a video. That isn't the case with this. I own it. I'm glad I own it. Good piece of equipment.